So, full disclosure, this review was requested by Will Callaghan, the writer and creator of Techlore. You may remember Will. He was a guy whose business partner Shortviews Media broke off contact when Will caught flack for saying that you can't change your DNA in response to a comment about transgender people. Will has been making comics for a while, and he's got several projects up on his GoFundMe page. This is a review of the first issue of the book Techlore. Now, just because I'm friends with Will doesn't mean I'm going to shill for him. If the book is bad, I'll say so. Fortunately, that's not a problem. The book is good. It's got a few problems, but nothing that takes away from the fun of reading the book. Half the fun of the book is the art. The book is drawn by Joshua Shade, awesome name, and this is my kind of art style. It's a blend of Western and Japanese styles with some obvious Joe Mad influences. It's got that 90s flair to it, and he's good with posing and dynamic angles. He's great with backgrounds, and honestly, I knew this would be the case because Will starts with the art. That's what draws him to a book, so he's gonna pick an artist that would make him check the book out. The panel flow is great. You can follow the story just from the art, which is always a good sign. I did get lost in this one section, and that's because there wasn't a panel gutter between the two panels, and I read it as just one image instead of two. One thing that did catch my eye is that Shade is inconsistent with some of the faces and proportions. This happens quite a bit, and it is very distracting because it shifts from page to page. It makes me wonder if the pages were drawn several days, weeks, or months apart because it's hard not to notice this if it was done the next day. It doesn't kill the book, but it is noticeable. But Shade makes up for that with two things. You get boobs, you get boobs, you all get boobs. The publishing info says 2012, but I swear this was made in 92. Now we know where all the breasts in comics went. Looks like Shade and Malin stole them all. The story is an interesting idea. Scrolls are found under Stonehenge that, once read, allow people to use magic. The first scroll brings back the children of Avalon, basically fantasy creatures. The second scroll grants people access to magic, but because the scrolls were deciphered using technology, the magic can only be accessed through technology. That's actually a solid idea. There's so much potential there. You could build an entire story around just what tech uses what magic. You could have different techs accessing magic in different ways and the craziness that would happen. You could even place it in the modern world and play with historical events. Or you could do what Will does and just let it be. It exists, it works, and it's what people use. Done and done. That's a sign of a solid idea. If only other writers, say those named after fake holidays, would take note. The story follows a bounty hunter elf named Aurelia Swiftwind as she tracks down a pair of brothers. We've seen this kind of intro before, but it's a good intro to the character. We get our motivations, her powers, her skills, her personality, and that body. Seriously, there's so much scattered boobage in this book, I'm shocked, absolutely shocked, that this is clearly written by a very heterosexual Christian man. But seriously, it's a good start with a likable female character. Even though she's smart and skilled, she's not a know-it-all. She's not snarky. She doesn't talk about food all the time. That makes it easy to enjoy the character and believe that she would have a moral compass. After she defeats the brothers, a mysterious guy approaches her and asks her to save a boy who will in turn save the world. She takes a scroll and the guy disappears. Again, this is a classic setup, but it works. This is one of the important lessons with storytelling. People use tropes for a reason. We already know where the story is going, so Will doesn't have to lay everything out in the first issue. We get enough backstory about Aurelia's heritage to understand that there's this tension between humans and elves. We've got how the magic works in her fight with the brothers, and now we're getting the broader world building. The tropes allow the story to move fast. If this was written by Bendis, we'd still be in the middle of Aurelia talking about her mom. Relying on tropes speeds things up, gets us into the story, and gives us just what we need for the story to make sense. Again, I'm not shilling for Will. This is a legitimately good setup. You've got as much info about Aurelia as you do about John Wick in the first 20 minutes of the film before he starts killing everybody. The story moves on to the villain named Sagan, or Sagan. I think it's Sagan, and probably a little dig at Carl Sagan. That's fine, Christians take hits, so why not an atheist scientist? This guy is basically trying to kill all humans so he can rule the world with his fellow elves at the top of the food chain. We get some quick backstory about Sagan hunting dwarves, and we see that he really doesn't like other species. There is a weird moment here where the other elf calls Sagan, also known as the Raven, Lord Ravenous, even though Ravenous is actually the elf tribe's name. I'm not sure why that happened, but it seems like a mistake, unless it's actually his surname, in which case that really should have been made clear. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this wonderful wardrobe malfunction scene. All that bosom just wants out, and oops, she's like, damn, I busted a button. I believe the proper word for that is nut. Our third major scene is with a boy named Merlin, the boy Aurelia is looking for. Right here, another quick trope. Most people know the name Merlin, so we're already in. All we need to know is how he fits into this world. This is why you use established tropes and archetypes. We discovered there's something different about Merlin when it comes to magic, and it's something that he's kept from his father. Merlin thinks that he's a freak because of this, and his pet or friend Dragon jokingly agrees. And then we get this moment where Merlin says, God, could things get any worse? Dude, you're in a comic. Of course it's gonna get worse. I mean, Miss Busted Buttons is coming to save you, and you're gonna have to sit there staring at all that forbidden titty because she ain't giving it up. Overall, this is a good start to the series. There are some quirky issues like the captions being right aligned for some reason, and it just kept driving me nuts. Another problem is that many of the characters do not use contractions. I cannot express enough how weird it sounds when people do not use contractions. Since all of them are not human, I can kind of let it slide, but it is still something that caught my eye. See, it does really sound weird. But overall, the book is fun. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's a good read. I enjoyed it, and I want to see the rest of the story. If you'd like to check it out, please visit Will's GoFundMe page and support the book. He's got a number of books there he's releasing via PDF, and Techlore is just one of them. Different tiers get you access to more books. They're all interesting concepts. Some are stronger than others, but again, you're not going to be bored. These are very much in the 90s action-style art-driven comics vein, so if that's your thing, go ahead and check the books out. Thanks for listening.